week, we decided to watch Attack of the Dock from Chris Gore over at Film Threat. And this, of course, about the original G4, not the new G4 that they tried to do.
Which, I mean, the timing of the release of this documentary makes me think that he had to be like kind of T-posing over them for dominance.
Yeah, I think so too.
I like to set the record straight on what G4 was.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so this documentary goes through the history of G4, how it started and how it went, and from its peak until it finally died. And it, of course, but it focuses on Attack of the Show.
Okay,
As
yeah. I
yeah,
was about to say, I'm gonna have to mildly disagree with you there because um, I kept wondering, but when are they going to talk about Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb?
yeah,
Because apparently we watched entirely different shows on that network back in the day. Like,
yeah. um, Yeah, so yeah, but I thought it was interesting that Chris mainly focused on Attack of the Show. I think it's because he was a regular on that show.
mhm.
He did a segment called DVD Tuesday. If I'm saying that right. Um, where he would basically go through different movies, and I think they gave him like a 30-second count, and he would have to review each movie, and
Mm.
um, and then he did other segments with him too.
Am I misremembering, or did he have like a horrible goatee at the time?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he looked like a mid-2000s hipster.
Actually,
uh,
now that I think about it, not dissimilar to how James Gunn looks today.
yeah, very very similar. Yeah. And so well, yeah, of course, the famous clip of Gore where he's played it on his own show where when he falls down, he's like, "Ah, my jeans."
Because they're so tight.
Yeah. But yeah,
He
so
continues
they
on having kids.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the main focus was Attack of the Show, specifically when it was Kevin Pereira and Olivia Munn. And what Chris brings up in the documentary was originally was going to be Whitney Cummings, who was a stand-up comedian.
Hmm.
She was originally going to be the co-host, but then they saw Olivia Munn and they went, "Oh, we need Olivia Munn."
Yeah, she's. I mean, okay. So, watching that documentary really made me remember Frost's comment that Olivia Munn did not exist to be easy on the eyes.
Yeah.
Well, in a certain extent, no, she did and does not exist to be easy on anybody's eyes. However, she went through a lot of effort to be easy on the eyes, and this was used as an attractant for the show.
Yes. Yeah. And it worked very well.
Yes, but they kind of talked about what she brought to it. She wasn't just eye candy. It's just that it's that fun dichotomy of where you have an amazingly beautiful woman who they keep putting in ridiculous situations, and she was game for all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. From putting on a French maid outfit and throwing herself into a tub of chocolate and whipped cream.
Yeah.
Uh, although yeah, I will say Kevin Pereira, I will I'll give him some credit. He didn't want her to feel uncomfortable or whatever, so he did the exact same thing.
Yeah, he had like a tearaway clothes, and he had a French maid outfit on too, and he jumped in with her.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course the famous that you've probably all seen the GIF or the video with all the hot dogs that Olivia Munn was stuffing in her mouth.
Yeah, extremely juvenile entertainment.
Yeah, and yes, obviously it's stuff that they couldn't do today. And they even talk about that in the documentary. That like, yeah, most of what they were doing, you couldn't do it today with today's audience.
Yeah, or at the very least, I feel like there's still an audience for that because what I really felt watching this was, man, Rooster Teeth kind of took what they were doing and just copied it online
Yeah.
back in the classic era.
Oh yeah, yeah, and a lot of people were copying it, and I would say still copying it to this day. They,
Yeah, and you know it's Chris Gore who made the documentary because at the end they show PewDiePie, Friday Night Tights,
yeah, Eric July, yeah,
Eric July. Like it's not like immediately castigating them.
right, yeah. Well, and to his credit, I mean, he was showing other people too. I mean, he had like I think he showed it like Hassan Piker on there and a
Mhm.
few others. So I mean, he kept it balanced.
See,
Um,
I know the name Hassan Piker. I have no idea what he looks like, so it probably just passed me right by.
yeah. um, but yeah, I mean, it's if you're nostalgic for the old G4 and you want to see like some behind the scenes stuff and what was happening there, this is definitely a good doc for you. And what I thought was interesting too was when they got to talking about Comic Con, and I guess it was Chris Gore who got them to going to Comic Con all the time. Because he said, well, he couldn't do the show because he was doing Comic Con and they didn't know what it was, and then they all said, well, let's all do it, and and they were like the center attraction like every year at Comic Con seemed like.
Yeah, I mean I kind of always underestimated what they were because they were just a premium cable channel that I could watch when I was at college because everybody got premium cable access.
Yeah,
So, and again, my experience with it was Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb doing their game reviews, and I forget what the name of the show was now in retrospect.
yeah, I don't remember either.
Clearly not important.
Yeah.
I would, I really hope that Pereira, uh, it was actually sincere, unlike Adam, since Adam has made comments recently that he always hated gaming culture and like, man, you devoted your life to something you hated. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know what happened to. I don't know what happened to Sessler. I think he really
Mm,
went off the deep end.
yeah, though I suspect he always was. Just it came out later.
Yeah.
That is the wonderful slash awful thing about Twitter, isn't it? Is that
Mhm.
it exposes everybody sooner or later.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Um, but yeah, I mean, I mean, they talked about other stuff in there too that that was like uh, who was the name of the woman they got that replaced Olivia Munn? I can't remember her
Man,
name.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because it kind of seemed like it started to. I think it started to fall off right
Right,
around when Olivia Munn left.
right. It did seem like they tried to give the new girl the best launch they could,
Yeah,
but then
yeah,
Pereira also left, and it was just yeah,
and it was kind of downhill from there. And then of course then you had what ultimately led to its downfall was Comcast buying NBC Universal, or was it the other way around?
no, yeah. Comcast bought NBC Universal.
Okay,
Comcast is like a big cable company.
right,
NBC Universal is
right, yeah,
TV studio.
yeah, and they consolidated all of the networks into one, and apparently from what was said in the documentary, the woman who was in charge of it all hated G4, thought it was very juvenile, and
Well, yes.
well, yeah,
Uh, you do wonder if they had stuck with it like that. That's a with that. I mean, Rooster Teeth proved that you could make a reasonably successful media company
mhm,
strictly online. Like if they had, if they had stuck with G4, maybe they could have pivoted to being on YouTube and whatnot and been successful
Yeah.
instead of trying to belatedly come back years later.
Yeah, and well, not only that, but they did it wrong. I mean, they were,
Yes.
yeah, they made so many mistakes with that. It was just like,
Yeah, I still feel like something like G4 could have been successful. You just didn't, you just wouldn't have the same sort of studio environment.
right, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, this is a good documentary to check out if you're nostalgic for the old G4 and get some, behind the scenes, stuff that happened with it. It's on. You can only get it. You can only rent it or buy it digitally right now.
Yeah, not very many places either. Basically, they're on Vimeo, Amazon Prime, and YouTube.
Yeah. It's $3 to rent and then $10 to buy it. And then I think Chris said it's coming out in July or August on Blu-ray.
Yeah, he actually appeared at the end of it and was like doing a take on his DVD reviews.
Right, yeah. Hey Serena, good to see you.
Hey, hey Rena, hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, yeah. And no worries. Yeah, I know the feeling of being focused on a comic book.
Yeah, for my day job, I've been learning InDesign because basically they had the choice of, okay, we can either take a technical writer and train them to know our extensive product line, or take somebody who knows a product line and train them to be a technical writer.
Yeah.
And I'm going through the second one, and man, InDesign is fiddly enough with just moving pictures around and not having to worry about it looking like an actual comic book.
Yeah.
Comics are hard.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and yeah, it's yeah, getting a print file with a using InDesign with a comic book. Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error. You know,
Yep.
but yeah, like we
That,
said,
that may be foreshadowing for our first story, but
oh yeah, 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 yeah. Serena agrees.
yep.
But yeah, moving on, I guess.